Hi, this is Ram, and in this video, I'll show you how we can create user scope properties for SPFX web parts. We'll try to do this using an example of a world time web part where we allow the end users to choose a time zone of their own. So if we try to understand why do we need to have a user scope properties or what is a user scope property. So like I said, if we look at the example of a world time web part, whenever an editor adds this web part to the page, they have the provision to change the time zone. So this web part is part of the SP starter kit. You can also download it. Now, if you look at how this works, as soon as the editor changes the time zone, it just reflects it here. And once they save and publish the page, all the users will see the same time zone. Now, there could be some cases where the end users want to, use their own time zone. So let's say user one wants to see the time zone from Central America and user two wants to see the time zone from Hawaii, right? In such cases, it's really about saving the preference on a user basis. So that's what a user scoped property means, and that's how we can allow personalization within SPFX web parts. But by default, this is not allowed. So if you look at how SPFX web parts work, any property which we custom property which we define within SPFX web part is a shared scope. When I say shared scope, it's like this value is used for all the users or for everyone when they open the page. Now, let's see how we can enable this web part to allow user scope properties. So this is the solution I have. So if we look at this, there is only one web part. I call it as clock web part. And here, this is one web part property, and it shows a component called world time. And within this, it accepts the description in a time zone. And based on this time zone offset, it will show an analog clock. So I'll not dig much deeper into the solution because this is part of the, as I said, this is the default, this is the part of the SP starter kit which I have downloaded. Now let's try to understand how we can achieve this. So I have also posted a blog. If you want to go through the details in step by step, you can always check out this blog. I'll also put a link to this in the description. So if we try to understand how we can implement this, there are basically four steps, right? Now here at a high level, we have to implement the entire thing on how this property or how this user scope property can be saved and how it will be retrieved and used within the web part. So for this, we need four things. One is a unique ID to identify the web part instance. So this is required to save your choices or the user selected values for this specific web part. So this is really important because we cannot just save the value against the logged in user's name or any other mechanism because we always need to identify within which web part instance we are personalizing this value. So for that we need a unique ID for the web part instance and definitely the logged in user's name to save their preference and a custom panel to show the values which the users can change. So this is similar to the property pane, but we'll use the Fluent UI panel to show a drop down in our example, which the end users will use to change the time zones. And the most important thing is storing the user selected values. So these are the different things. So I'll quickly make these changes within the web part and we'll discuss as we do it what are the pros and cons of each approach. So first thing, like I mentioned, we will need the web part instance ID and the logged in user's name. So this, my idea here is to pass these values to the world time component. So I'll just change the properties of the world time component to accept these two values. So I'll say we need web part ID string and login name is also a string. So now I need to pass these two properties from my web part class to the component. So if I go back here, now how do I pass these values? So I need the web part ID. So the default web part context class of SPFX will give us an instance ID. So this is very unique. So every time a web part is added to a page, it will have its own instance ID. So if we are adding the same web part multiple times on the page, it will have it will have different instance IDs. So that way we can always get a unique ID for this instance of the web part. And then we need the login name. For that also we can use the context of the web part. So we say context page context user and then we can get the login name. So with this, we are passing the required information to the world time component, which shows the clock actually. Now let me go back here and see what we can do here. So here what we are doing is we are using the time zone offset from the properties, and we are showing the description, which is also a property from the web part. So let's try to customize this. So first what will we need is an edit icon for the end users to change the time zone, right? So what I'll do, just below the description, I'll add an icon button. This will be from the Fluent UI, and then I'll add an icon. Let's set the icon name to, okay, did the imports come? No. Let's add the import for icon button also. And within the icon, I'll have the icon name as edit. So this is the Fluent UI icons. And on click of this button, we'll have to show a panel, right? So for showing a panel, so let's first try to create a panel. So this is the panel which shows. So in this panel, we'll show a drop down. So I'll say I'll just type a label. I'll say choose a time zone. And under this, we'll have a drop down. We'll again use the Fluent UI drop down. So here I should get the options. So for the options, I'll use the same helper method which is used for the web part property pane. So this will be the get time zones. So what it's doing is it's trying to get all the possible time zones and converting that into a drop down option. So here I'll use this dot get time zones. So now our panel is ready, which will show a drop down. Now, how do we control when the panel should be opened or closed is based on this buttons click. So let's create a state object for this component. So we don't have any state. So let's create a state object. So I'll call it export interface I world time state. So in my state, I'll have one property for showing the panel. So I'll say show panel as a Boolean value, and let's also pass this here. So let's initialize the state here. So initially when it opens, I want the show panel to be false. So we are not showing the panel. And I'll also have another property for storing the time zone offset, which will be a number. So for the first load, the time zone offset, I'll take it from the properties. So this is when I take it from the properties, this is the same value what is set from the web part property pane. This is what the editors would set on a page. So I have taken it from properties, and I have one state of, property for setting the panel. So now what happens whenever the user clicks on this button, which is the edit button. So I'll change the state for show panel to be true. So that's what I'll do here. This dot set state, I'll say show panel true, right? And then here in the panel object, I'll say is open this dot state dot show panel. Okay, great. So let's quickly see what we have done till now. So we have added an icon button, and on click of this button, we are setting the state of our show panel to true. And whenever the user clicks on that, we'll show a panel. And in this panel, we have the drop down which has the list of all time zones where we are fetching from this helper function. Now, to also save the value of the dropdown, I'll use the same state here, so which is the time zone offset. So I'll make this as a control component. So here we'll say selected key is equal to this dot state dot time zone offset. So this way this becomes a control component. And let's also do one more quick thing. So let me save and see our progress till now. So if I refresh the workbench, Gulp serve is running at the background, so hopefully the changes are reflecting here. Okay, looks like my Gulp serve is not yet running, so let me quickly do that. So my gulp serve is executed now. So now if I refresh the page, we can see this edit icon which we have added, and this will be for the end user. So if you see, even if I'm in the preview mode, I'm not actually in the edit mode. So all the end users will see this edit icon, and when they click on this, I'll have a nice panel here with all the possible options. Now if I select something, nothing gets changed. So let's add functionality to set these values. So now what we'll do is whenever the drop down is changed, right? So I need an on change event. So what we'll do when the value is getting changed. So let's say this dot on property change will be my function, the change handler. So let's quickly create a function. So here I'll get the event option, and I think I'll also get the index, right? So event option and index, yeah. So we'll be only using the option value. So now what we will do is here in option.key, I'll have the value which the user has selected. So first thing to make the web part quickly work, so what we have to do is we have to change the state. So I say this dot set state, and here we'll say, so once the user has selected a value, so we'll close the panel. So we are saying show panel false, and then we'll set the time zone offset to option.key. So this way we are changing the time zone also. And if we go and check in the render method here, this was the previous implementation where we are getting the time zone offset from the property. So let's change this to state. And when we change this to state, we'll also try to get the description from a helper method. So we'll use time zone dot time zones dot get time zone. So what this method does is for the given offset, it will try to give us a time zone object where we'll have a display name. So we'll use that as the description. Okay. So with this, whenever the property is changed, we are setting the state value to the selected value, and it will immediately start showing the new time zone which the end user has selected. Yes, so we have achieved the step one of the personalization scenario. Now, are we saving this value somewhere? No, we are just setting it into the state. So when we refresh the page, this value is lost. So how do we persist this value? So what we can do here is once the state is set, we can have another handler here, and here we can write code to persist the user selected value somewhere, right? So here there are multiple options. So we can, depending on our scenario, we can either persist the value within the local storage. So what is local storage? Local storage is the browser's cache, which can be persisted for a session or for a longer period of time. So when we persist it for a session, what will happen is as soon as the browser is closed, that value is lost. And we can also use the local storage, which persists for a longer time, where we can set the expiry. So in that case, whenever the user opens the page from the same browser, for the subsequent times, it will always know what the user has selected because that is saved in the local storage. The disadvantage with this approach is, as I said, this works only when the user uses the same browser. If the user is opening the page from a different browser or a different device, the selected personal choice is gone because that is persisted only within the same browser. And if you want this to be persisted across devices and browsers, then you can also store this value in a, a persistable place like a SharePoint list or any other storage mechanism outside SharePoint. So even for those things, what we will need is a unique webpart instance ID to know from which webpart we are doing this and the logged in user's name. So to make it quick, I'll show you how to do it using the browser's local storage. So for that, I'll be using the PNP client storage object. So let's create a variable for the storage. I'll call it storage, and I'll use the PNP client storage object. Let's also try to add the import, and I'll also use the date add helper method from here. Okay, so with this, we have the definition of client storage. Let's try to initialize this object. So I'll say this dot underscore storage equal to new PNP client storage. Now what do we do is we'll save the value as soon as the user selects a time zone from the panel. We'll save this into the client storage. So what I'll do this dot underscore storage dot local. So this is what I was referring to. Local is the local storage and session is the session storage. So I'll use the local storage, and then dot put. Dot put is for saving the value. And if you look here, it will accept a key and the value to store. It could be anything and an expiry date. So for the key, I'll be using a combination of the webpart ID, which is the webpart ID with a hyphen, and then the login name of the user. Uh, so that will be my key. And what is the value? Option dot key is the value. That's the value chosen by the user. And for the expiry, I'll try to add a really longer date so that it never expires. So I'll use the date add function from PNPJS again. So and here the interval would be year, and I'll just add it for 100 years so that it never expires. So this way I'm storing the selected value into my local storage. Now how do I use this value when the web part is loaded? So in the render method, instead of getting this value from the state, I'll also check if there is a value in the local storage. So if you look at the state, we are setting this value from the properties of the web part, which is the actual web part property. Now let's add one more condition here. We'll say if this dot underscore storage, I'll try to copy the key value from here just to save the time. And here we'll say we'll try to use the local storage again dot get. So this is for getting the value using this key. Now, if this value is not null, so that is what I'm trying to do here. So with the if condition, I'm trying to see if this value is not null, then let me change this to a variable. Then what I'll do is I'll set time zone offset equal to this value. So if it's not null, I'll get it from the storage, and if it is null, I have anyway assigned it from the webpart property. So for the first time when the user has not selected any user scope value, it will show the value which is put in the webpart property. So that's what this will do. So that way I'll have the time zone which we are reading from the local storage, and then we are dynamically finding out the description. So with this, I think we have pretty much added the user scoped functionality for our web part. So let's see if this is working. So if I refresh my page, so now let me go to the preview mode. So now if you see the value is selected here, let me change it to something. You can see it's immediately getting updated here. So it's 5:57 for Hawaii. Let me select Arizona. The time and the label quickly changes. So at the background, this value is also getting stored in the browser local storage. So let me show you how this could be really useful. So I have already added this web part in a communication site. So I have three instances of the same web part. And let's say if the user wants to change it, they can always come and change they can set different time zones for all the clocks. So I'll select different values. Okay, let me quickly refresh. Looks like it's not working. Right, so then we can select different time zones here for each web part. So I'll select something else. Yes, so if you see, as soon as I select the drop down, the values are not getting changed here. That's because a, a child component is not getting refreshed. So here, if you see, there is a clock component which actually shows the clock. So here, whenever there is a property change, it's not changing the value. So we can use a component did update here and refresh this component, so that way it will have the latest values. So if we refresh the page now, I can see all different values which this user has selected, which is which are these values, right? And I have another browser with logged in with a different user account, and here if you see, the user has selected different values. So user 1 sees the three time zones for different countries, and user 2 sees the three time zones for three different countries chosen by himself or herself. So that's how we can really, add personalization features to your SPFX web parts. This could be used in different other scenarios. So let's say one other example which we can think of is a news web part which shows five top news articles from an external source, and users can change the number of news articles which they want to see. So one user might want to see 10 articles, another user might want to see just three articles. So these are again specific to the user's choices. Uh, Hope this was interesting and this was helpful. So this SPFX solution, I'll also check it into a GitHub repository. The same will be shared in my LinkedIn, or I'll put it in the description of this video. Hope this was useful. Do subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos like this, or you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching. See you again.